I think the biggest irony of the Stephanie White situation is that it is the Indiana Fever players having her back so strongly that is going to maybe get her out of the circumstances she put herself in via her comments, not having Sophie Cunningham's back after the Dejanay Carrington foul and really going out of her way to kind of praise Dejanay Carrington. But since then, Caitlin Clark has stood up and had her back. Sophie Cunningham has stood up and had her back. And now Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell have stood up and had.
This wasn't some minor disagreement or a few hecklers in the cheap seats. This was a full-scale revolt from the Indiana faithful against their own head coach. The irony is almost too much to handle because the very people Stephanie White was accused of failing are the ones now acting as her human shield. For weeks, the narrative has been building that White didn't have her players' backs after a controversial hit on Sophie Cunningham. Fans were livid that their coach seemed to praise the opposition while ignoring the physical toll on her own roster. They wanted blood, and they decided to take it out on her during the pre-game introductions.
Tense situation that the WNBA, and especially you as the coach of the Indiana Fever, is involved in. There are folks in Indiana at a home game booing you. You ain't the road team, you the home team, you the home coach, and they booing you. And Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark can speak up for you all they want to, as they did, and as they should have. But that's not going to be enough. How are you the head coach on the sideline during the play, covering the game, or coaching the game, and you didn't see the play? I'm just asking. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm like, what do you mean you didn't see the play? Well, you not watching. We saw it. You coaching the game. Up and down the court. It's your job to coach the game, watch the game. How did you not see the play?
So the not see the play aspect, obviously she had to have seen the play. I'm taking that as she didn't see the replays to show just how bad it was, but I understand why that part is getting pushed back as well. I hope it is the honest account of what took place. But what I find interesting there is he says, like, Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham speaking up is not going to be enough. I mean, I think that's what is the difference. Or else we'd be talking about a coach legit.
Caitlin Clark isn't someone who hides how she feels, and seeing her coach treated like a villain in her own house was the breaking point. She later admitted that the sound of those boos made her feel physically ill. For a player who has dealt with more pressure and scrutiny than anyone in the history of the sport, this was different. This wasn't about her stats or her logo threes. It was about the sanctity of her team. She looked at the crowd, the same people who buy her jersey and chant her name, and saw a division she couldn't ignore. She decided right then that the game wasn't just about a win anymore.
Like, Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham speaking up is not going to be enough. I mean, I think that's what is the difference. Or else we'd be talking about a coach legitimately on the hot seat and legitimately, you know, with her job security in question. I think that the two things protecting Stephanie White right now are the results, which is your job as a coach, and the Fever are playing really well, and the fact that the players have rallied around her and had her back. Again, that irony, if you will, because you can't blame fans for feeling the way they feel. You can say you wish they didn't boo or whatever. This is not.
Before the opening tip, Clark pulled her coach aside and made a promise that sounds like something out of a movie. She told Stephanie White point blank that there was absolutely no way they were losing that game. It wasn't just a confidence boost. It was a declaration of war against the negativity swirling in the building. Clark and her teammates weren't playing for the standings or the highlights that night. They were playing to prove a point to their own fans. The message was clear: if you come for our coach, you come for all of us. It was a high-stakes gamble that could have backfired if the scoreboard didn't cooperate.
But it's worth resharing because this is the player having your back.
I think our world is just like, we love to hate. We love to divide. Like, that's all we want to do. Like, nobody wants to see each other succeed. And I think that's a really painful thing for myself to watch. I feel like we need to do a better job at uplifting each other, and I can assure you there was no way we were losing this game tonight. And I told her that before the game. Like, there was no way we were losing this game for her. And, you know, it's tough. Like, that's my head coach. Like, I hated that our fans booed her before the game. That made me a little sick, to be honest. And you can disagree and this and that, and I get it. It's professional.
But while the players were circling the wagons, the media firestorm was reaching a fever pitch. Even Stephen A. Smith jumped into the fray, questioning how a professional coach could claim she didn't see a major play happening right in front of her. He didn't hold back, suggesting that White's attempts to go high were actually a recipe for disaster. The criticism was that she was playing right into the hands of those trying to diminish the Fever's success. When a national powerhouse like Stephen A. starts calling for accountability, the seat beneath a coach usually starts to get very hot. The pressure was mounting from every single angle.
And I can assure you there was no way we were losing this game tonight. And I told her that before the game. Like, there was no way we were losing this game for her. And, you know, it's tough. Like, that's my head coach. Like, I hated that our fans booed her before the game. That made me a little sick, to be honest. And you can disagree and this and that, and I get it. It's professional sports. People are going to boo, but like at the end of the day, that's our head coach, and we're going to ride for her, and we're always going to have our back, and that's never going to tear our locker room apart. So I just love her, and I feel for her because I know it can be a lot at times, and she does a great job a lot of times blocking it out, but there's other moments where it can get under your skin, and that's just being human, and that's just life. Like,
the most fascinating part of this entire saga is the bizarre role reversal happening in Indianapolis. Usually when a coach loses the fans, the players follow suit shortly after. But here, the players are the ones keeping Stephanie White's career on life support. If Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston hadn't stepped up, we would be talking about a coach on the verge of being fired. The very women who were supposedly slighted by White's comments are the ones providing her with a PR bulletproof vest. It is a level of loyalty that has left analysts scratching their heads and wondering what happens behind closed doors.
We appreciate her, and so to hear that, it was really annoying, honestly, and disrespectful. But for us, I mean, we kept the main thing, and we said we're going to come out here and we're going to get that dub.
So it is interesting just to see that divide in the way that the fans are feeling and the way that the players are clearly feeling, and the way that the players are, again, you know, standing up for their head coach. Kelsey Mitchell did the same exact thing.
Yeah, it kind of threw me for a loop too. I told her to her face, I said, Coach, you know, this is for you. In terms of just a sense of confidence, a sense of awareness of that you're not alone. And if anybody know me, it's like...
Even Sophie Cunningham, the player at the center of the original controversy, refused to let the fans tear the team apart. Despite being the one who took the hit and didn't get the public defense she deserved from the sideline, she stood tall. She joined the chorus of voices backing White, proving that the locker room culture is much stronger than the outside noise suggests. It takes a massive amount of maturity to put personal feelings aside for the good of the group. Cunningham's silence toward the fans' anger spoke volumes about her commitment to the Fever's vision, even when that vision feels blurred to the public.
Face, I said, Coach, you know, this is for you. In terms of just a sense of confidence, a sense of awareness of that you're not alone. And if anybody know me, it's like I don't play that, so it's like it really hurt my feelings to see her kind of like have emotions in terms of like not feeling valued and not feeling wanted in a place where she has to coach. At the end of the day, this is her job, and so, you know, she has to show up too. And I think that people don't really recognize that, and I think that it's our job to remind her. It's our culture's, it's our culture, and I think we have to remind her that our culture is not going to let her fall to the wayside. And so I hope she knows that.
She's very fortunate, the coach is, to have such mature, thoughtful players.
Aaliyah Boston didn't mince words when she spoke to the media about the incident. She called the fan behavior annoying and disrespectful, which is a bold move for a franchise player. Most stars try to stay in the good graces of the home crowd, but Boston chose her coach over the ticket holders. She pointed out that the team does everything in their power to win, and seeing that effort met with hostility toward their leader was a slap in the face. It's rare to see a young core so unified against their own supporters, and it shows just how much they value the environment White has built within the building. Kelsey Mitchell added another layer to the emotional weight of the situation by revealing how the boos affected White personally. Mitchell mentioned that seeing her coach feel unvalued and unwanted in her own arena actually hurt her feelings. It humanized a situation that often gets treated like a cold business transaction. These players see the late nights, the stress, and the genuine care that fans don't see on the broadcast. Mitchell's comments highlighted the culture they are building, one where no one gets left behind, even when the rest of the world is pointing fingers and demanding a change. Caitlin Clark acknowledged the reality of the business, saying that in professional sports, people are going to boo. She isn't naive to the fact that fans pay for the right to express their displeasure. However, her defense focused on the boundary between criticizing a performance and attacking the person leading the group. She emphasized that White is their coach, and they will ride for her no matter what. This us against the world mentality is exactly what a team needs to survive a media circus, but it is also a dangerous game to play with the people who fill the seats every night. The divide between the players and the fans in Gainbridge Fieldhouse is becoming a case study in modern sports dynamics. On one side, you have a passionate fan base that feels the need to protect their stars from what they perceive as a lack of coaching support. On the other side, you have the stars themselves saying they don't need that kind of protection. It is a complete disconnect. The fans think they are doing the right thing by demanding more from White, but the players are telling them to back off. This creates a confusing atmosphere where nobody knows quite how to act. Stephanie White isn't just a whiteboard and a set of plays. She's a person who has to navigate the most scrutinized locker room in the history of the WNBA. Caitlin Clark pointed out that there are moments where the noise gets under your skin no matter how much you try to block it out. Being human in a high-pressure environment is exhausting, and the players are clearly seeing the toll it takes on their coach. By coming to her defense so publicly, they are trying to provide an emotional buffer against the vitriol coming from social media and the local headlines that dominate the cycle. Clark made it very clear that this controversy is never going to tear our locker room apart. That is a strong statement aimed directly at the people trying to drive a wedge between the roster and the staff. In many ways, the fan hostility has acted as a catalyst for the team to bond even tighter. They have adopted a bunker mentality, deciding that the only opinions that matter are the ones within the four walls of their facility. This kind of unity can make a team dangerous in the playoffs, but it also risks alienating the very community that supports the league's explosive growth. This isn't just a local Indiana story anymore. It's become a national talking point about the new WNBA. The influx of fans has brought a level of intensity and criticism that the league hasn't seen before. The hostile crowd mentioned in the headlines is a symptom of a league that is finally getting the passionate, sometimes irrational, engagement of major men's sports. While it is painful for the individuals involved, it is also a sign that people care deeply about the product. The challenge for Stephanie White is learning how to lead in this new, louder reality where every word is dissected. Stephen A. Smith touched on the idea of grace and humility, questioning if that approach actually works in a results-driven business. He argued that Stephanie White is playing right into the hands of her critics by not being more assertive. There is a fine line between taking the high road and being perceived as weak. The fans wanted a fighter, someone who would go to bat for her players in the media and challenge the officials. When they didn't see that fire, they interpreted it as a lack of passion. White now has to prove her strength in other ways to earn back that lost respect. Despite the drama, the Fever came out and played with what Clark described as joy and a smile on our face. They used the negativity as fuel to play a more cohesive, unselfish brand of basketball. They shared the ball, locked in on defense, and performed for each other. This is perhaps the best defense Stephanie White could ask for, a team that plays hard for her despite the world telling them they shouldn't. If the players are happy and the wins are coming, the blunder of her previous comments might eventually be buried under the weight of a truly successful season and a deep playoff run. It is important to remember that the fans aren't necessarily villains here either. Their displeasure stems from a place of protection for Caitlin Clark and her teammates. They have seen the hard hits and the perceived lack of protection from the league, and they wanted their coach to be the first line of defense. When they felt she failed in that duty, they used the only tool they had, their voices. It is a messy, emotional situation where both sides feel they are doing what is best for the team. The tragedy is that this conflict is happening during the team's most successful stretch in years. As the season progresses, the relationship between the fans, the players, and the coach will continue to be the most watched subplot in the WNBA. Stephanie White is fortunate to have players who are mature enough to handle this level of conflict with such poise. Most veteran teams would struggle with this, let alone one of the youngest rosters in the league. The speechless fans are now left to reconcile their anger with the fact that their favorite players are practically begging them to stop. It is a power struggle where the players currently hold all the cards and the final say. Ultimately, this situation proves that the Indiana Fever are more than just a basketball team. They are a movement. Caitlin Clark's decision to defend her coach against her own fans is a defining moment for her leadership. She showed that she won't be a puppet for the crowd's whims, even if those fans are trying to support her. True leadership is about standing by your team when it's unpopular, and the Fever Stars have done exactly that. Whether this silences the critics or just delays the inevitable remains to be seen, but one thing is certain, the locker room is united and ready.